Welcome everybody to a custom level that loads so fast, I don't even have time to do a proper intro. Here we are today in the final rush, a custom level for Sonic Generations. Not Shadow Generations, but Sonic Generations. And we are also using one of the Shadow mods that exist for this game, because yeah, there was a time, believe it or not, where Shadow wasn't playable in Sonic Generations. Now, you'll notice that I have already played a Shadow character mod for Sonic Generations on the channel, and that was made by Ultimate Darkman, who typically makes all of these. Wow, that's a 1-up all the way over there. But the cool thing about this mod is that it is made by two different people. It's called Shadow Encore, which has some different things such as updated materials, kind of an updated model as well. You can see that everything on him is so much more high quality. Like, you can see all the individual threading on his gloves, you can see better matte reflection texture on his inhibitor rings, you can see all the individual hairs on his fur, you can see all the the little folds on his mouth, you can see leather on his gloves. He's got really beautiful reflections off of him. He looks really soft because of it, and you can tell it's taking direct inspiration from Shadow Generations in some ways, because in Shadow Generations, he kind of has like a blue reflection on him at all times in that game. The base work of this mod was done with Ultimate Darkman's Real Shadow mod, but everything else is basically just an enhancement built onto that already nearly 3-year-old mod to just make the best playable Shadow in Sonic's side of the campaign. Now, another cool thing that you'll see here is that there's like this actual shining material coming off of the bottom of the shoes. This is so high quality, and I'm only playing the game in like 1440p. This isn't even a full 4K, and it looks so cinematic. It's also kind of funny, you can see all of these updated textures, like the shine on the front of his shoes specifically. You can see how updated it is, how high resolution it is, and then all around him are these like really low poly, low resolution Sonic Adventure 2 textures for Final Rush. Look how cool this shot is though. You got the gleam of the sun in the back, you got all of the gases of space, you got Shadow in motion with the trail behind him, you have the gun robots in the back, and just the scenery of the arc in general. Now it's kind of funny too, because there is a arc level in Sonic Generations. It is, you know, the Shadow rival fight. Yes. See, he's even got all of his trick animations from Ultimate Darkman's rendition of Real Shadow. But they didn't actually reuse... Oh wait, that's really cool level design. Ow! They punished me for going too high. That's funny as well, actually. But this is funny and cool because I did not expect them to actually utilize the goofy fan physics for a arc level. I kind of screw with it though. You don't usually see that asset used in custom levels for this game. They're using these fans as a way to substitute for the lack of gravity changing mechanics. Sonic Generations does have an arc level in the Shadow boss fight. This level doesn't use any of its assets because it was very limited. So actually using, you know, the models and the textures from Sonic Adventure 2 just kind of makes a lot more logistic sense. Now I am curious how long this level is. This level as well, fitting very similarly to the Shadow mod we're playing actually, is also another upgrade of a nearly 7-year-old mod. Whoa! This level has support for that? It has support for the QTEs? That's so sick! Yeah, so I guess I didn't even have to do too much talking because they showed me what one of the improvements to this level was that they made over the years. I think it's extremely appealing that instead of replacing an already existing mod that's been made for this game and has a lot of history with its player base, they just decided to do some touch-ups to it to make it more like how they'd want a Shadow mod to be. And of course, I'm assuming they got permission from Ultimate Darkman to make these modifications. They even got the cinematic camera angles on this level. Now, I never actually played this level when it first dropped. I kind of just discovered it because I don't believe it was on Game Banana before. But I have no idea if those camera angles are something new they added in, or if that was like part of the original level back when it was first posted. I love the usage of the gun boxes here because that's an actual asset from Sonic Generations, but it fits really well with like the scenery of this level. Man, they need to bring back those kinds of QTE wall jumps. I love reacting to a quick button prompt. Now, another interesting part about this level is that its layout seems to be original too, which is cool as well because this is a location based on one of Shadow's games, but this is one of Sonic's levels in all technicality. But I think it's really cool how they're incorporating like pieces of the asteroids as actual parts of the level design, instead of it just being the mechanical parts of the arc. You see this too. He even has all of his classic victory animations from the Ultimate Darkman mod, but in all of its HD goodness. I just love how, based on where he's angled, how the light reflects off of this model. It's gonna be such a treat to actually see what Generations looks like in the remastered segment on, like, 4K monitors with native support for that kind of thing, you know? Like, even just him in the original EXE of Generations with just a slightly updated model with different materials looks so good, man. I feel like it's almost AAA, though, even just watching him regularly homing attack on enemies in the vacuum of space in a level that was never officially shaded or developed to be playable. And that's the really impressive part of custom levels to me. Whoa, did not know about this path. That's the really impressive part of custom levels to me, is that, like, you know, when it comes to it, I'm like, how did they... Whoa, that was a rare instance where failing one of those QTEs with the restoration mod actually kills you. Usually if you fail a QTE with a restoration mod, it doesn't actually punish you. I'm surprised that that happened. And I'm actually delighted that it happened, because it adds an extra layer of depth to the game, in my opinion, giving you consequences for failing that kind of stuff. But I think it's really impressive when people make custom levels in this game, because they didn't have access to the code, they didn't have access to the in-company level editor. They had to deconstruct this game and figure out how to put all the assets in the exact spots they want, and they have to test it, and they have to do custom terrain molds, and they have to, you know, build in all of their own textures and maybe custom models and whatever they want. Again, I've said it many times in other videos, I'm not a big fan of level imports that are just direct imports of the whole level design and everything from other Sonic games. I don't think it's very interesting. I'm always interested in playing something different and original. So even if we're reusing scenery from another game, I really don't mind it at all. This is such a good way to tie me off while waiting in the final week of Shadow Generations, just seeing this extremely high-quality man with all of his custom animations. It looked like he looked up at the gun beetle in disappointment. I don't know, he's just so smooth, man, and I'm not just talking from an animation standpoint, I'm also saying it in his, you know, actual model polygons and everything, too. Like, dude, when he's, like, mid-action and there's, like, a little bit of light coming onto him from the explosions, it's so nice. Also, another thing that you might notice with the Encore Shadow is that there's an option to give him really dark skin, like he kind of was in SA2, or you can give him some more lighter skin like he is in some of the modern games, but I don't know, I think it's just so sick seeing Shadow recontextualized with his modern model in the modern era. Look at this is another section where you're primarily platforming on the asteroids, actually. Like I was saying, you don't really see that in the actual arc levels from SA2. They give him a lot of special skins and effects in this mod as well. Like, for example, his snowboard in City Escape has several different pieces of artwork you can choose. My favorites are the Sonic X Shadow ones because they remind me of the in-game billboard advertisements from Sonic Adventure 2 that would advertise real-life products. I think it's so cool to make an event in a game and connect it to something that's happening in real life. Another thing that you'll notice is that I'm using a hovering aura for when Shadow is boosting. This was actually an option in the original Ultimate Darkman mod, but I decided to enable it here today because last time I played the original Ultimate Darkman version of Shadow, he was using the skating animation for his boost. But this time I thought, you know what, let me show off the other one because I didn't really get around to that last time. And it's extra fitting this time around because that's the boost animation he actually uses in Shadow Generations. That's the one that Sega canonically defaulted to. Oh, that was so funny from that angle, looking at his expression. What a cool mod, and what a cool random combination of things. A randomly updated Shadow the Hedgehog character mod combined with a randomly updated Sonic Adventure 2 level. Look at the shine from the sun hitting the boy. This looks like a perfect CG animation at every single angle that I put it at. And another thing that I want to look at here is Shadow's like little looking up animation for when you try selecting one of the levels. It's really interesting having a playable Shadow here in the original Generations hub, because this is completely 2D perspective, whereas, you know, Shadow Generations is going to be a full 3D for this kind of thing. In a way, it's almost nostalgic seeing him all the way back here in the original era, knowing that he was running around during the events of this game. And funny enough, you know, he did meet up with Rouge a little bit before the events of their games happened at the same time, but Rouge got more caught up in Sonic's story than Shadow's story. What a funny frame for me to freeze on with her. But I really like Dark Beginning's explanation for why Rouge was in Sonic's story and not Shadow's story, but we do know Omega's probably going to be in Shadow's story, which is really cool. Check this out, though. This was also in the original Ultimate Darkman version of the mod, but we have a semi-updated Sonic model for this as well. I like the shadows around his eyelids. Kind of reminds me of how he almost had, like, black eyeshadow in games like Sonic 06. His model looks really nice here. He's got custom animations where he's getting really impatient, just like in the classic Sonic games. Shadow's just annoyed that he has to be this close to this guy. And it's funny, too, because if you come in an unorthodox way, you can actually startle Sonic. That being said, he also has completely original dialogue for this interaction too. It's essentially just a reskin of the Shadow boss fight, but you get to do it from Shadow's perspective and fight Sonic, and I'm personally hoping that that ages really well in Shadow Generations. I hope we do officially get to fight Sonic on the arc from Shadow's perspective and kind of validate what this mod predicted. In Sonic's story, Shadow's like, "I'm ending you, fool." And in Shadow's perspective, Sonic's just like, "I want food." Dude, it's so smooth the way Shadow's running and the way Sonic's running. Like, Sonic's animation is the way that it always is in the modern Boost games, but, like, he just looks so gnarly with this model. I don't know, man. It just gives me Marza vibes, and I love the way that Shadow's positioned from the back angle here. I think one of the things I'm gonna miss about Sonic Generations when I play Shadow Generations is the camera angles for this kind of thing. Also, I am playing on hard mode, which means that Sonic is as fast as he can truly be, and he's actually, like, giving me a run for my money a little bit here. But I just love how Shadow's hovering animation looks from this close to the camera, and that's something that we're kind of sorely missing in the Shadow Generations footage I've seen. Oh god, don't let him catch up. While this rival fight is missing a lot of action and combat from it, like, they don't do a whole lot of fighting, it's just a big race, essentially. It's a glorified Metal Sonic battle, if you think about it. But one of the things that I've always really appreciated about it is that you can, like, actually bump into your rival when you're both going at top speed. And it's like it's two cars hitting each other on the freeway, which was actually something they used to do in the comics a lot, which makes me feel so cool, actually being able to do it in gameplay. There we go. Yep, just boost right behind him, some dirty tricks, some dirty tactics, you know how it would be. I don't know, but this fight was always really immersive to me, even if it was sorely lacking in the way of, like, fight choreography and them actually, like, doing combat to each other. Now it's even games, just like it canonically would be. I do need to get ahead of him, though. I kind of like that Sonic's a little faster than me right now, because it's actually making me really want to lock in. Ooh, who's it gonna be? Ooh, that's bad. And I love that they used Jason's voice for this as well, because he was always, like, the most anime English depiction of Sonic. You know, it's a little uncanny seeing Sonic do the actual Chaos Control abilities there, but it's really easy to forget that he can do the exact same thing Shadow can, actually. Like, his boost charge-up animation specifically in this one as well, where he, like, gives that little yell. It's just something that I feel like I would hear out of, like, Dragon Ball or something, but with that Sonic charm of his cartoonish high-pitched voice. And on top of it as well, he used the perfect voice line for when he was powering up against Shadow as well. It's just something that he would absolutely say in a rival fight. I thought that this finisher KO was always super goofy in the base game. Just boosting into the back of your opponent until they rapidly lose rings. Whenever you see a character losing rings in an actual cutscene, it looks so unserious and goofy. Cool too, because Shadow's skating animation in Sonic Generations is often said to be one of his best ever, in the modern era at least, and it looks extra amazing on this model, and they didn't even alter that animation at all. These are all animations that Shadow just kind of had in Sonic Generations rival fight to begin with, which is one of the things that I love about Ultimate Darkman's Generation character mods, because in the original version of this mod, it uses his Generations model as the one that you play as, and it uses his animations in the gameplay, and I think that's really cool because it makes it feel like a real character mod. Like, Sega actually made this using the tools that they created for that character in this game. You know, the same goes for real Tails and real Knuckles as well. As always, everything that was shown off today will be in the description. Please give them likes on Game Banana, give all the creators some love. And if you're new here, check out my modding playlist, because I have a ton of these videos, and I'll be making a lot more when Shadow Generations comes out and has mods for that game.